Hello again, this is Luigi, and I'm here today to talk about another food that has been mentioned frequently on Married with Children. So, in my last video, I did a review of ding dongs. So, today we're going to talk about Tang. Now, if you ask a hardcore Married with Children fan what Al's favorite food is, most likely that person will say it's weenie tots. But I will actually argue that Tang was more a staple of Al's diet than weenie tots. So weenie tots, as we know, is a fictitious food, and through my research, I found that it was only mentioned in 5 episodes. Weenie Tot Lovers and Other Strangers, where it featured prominently, Cheese, Cues, and Blood, Love Conquers Al, Live Nude Peg, and finally, How to Marry a Moron. But Tang was actually mentioned or shown a record-breaking 11 times in 11 episodes. So, what is Tang? So, Tang is an artificially flavored drink mix that was formulated by General Foods Corporation scientist William A. Mitchell in 1957, and it was first marketed in 1959. Sales of Tang were poor until NASA used it on John Glenn's Mercury flight in February of 1962 and on subsequent Gemini missions. Since then, it's been closely associated with space flight, but there's a misconception out there that Tang was invented for NASA. Another interesting factoid is that the creator of Tang, William A. Mitchell, also invented Pop Rocks, Cool Whip, and an instant set Jello and other convenience foods. For those fans of just like as myself, will remember that there was a question of
what happens if you feed a panda Pop Rocks when they went to the zoo at one point. So, interestingly, these two artificially created foods are both mentioned in Married with Children.
Anyway, today I'm going to take a deep dive into Tang. So, as I mentioned, it was mentioned on Married with Children or shown a record-breaking 11 episodes. And we all know about Tang witches and Tang wipes, etc. So I'm actually going to go through and I'm going to sample all of them. But first I'll talk about the episodes. Now, in the very pilot episode, Al keeps asking Peg about buying juice. Now, in Al's mind, it may not necessarily be a natural fruit juice. It could very well be Tang, but he does mention it in the first episode. In the 6th episode of the first season, 16 Years and What Do You Get, Al mentions Tang for the first time. So he comes down and he says, he says what he wants to have for breakfast. So he says, I'd like some fried eggs over easy, a couple of pieces of crisp bacon, and a glass of fresh juice. So he actually says he wants fresh juice, squeezed, and like a couple of pieces of toast. And, Peg just, I think, put something down. He says, well, where's the Tang? So here we go. In Impudent, Al comes down and the kids are hiding some of the Tang, and he actually introduced us to the Tang wipe. So that was the first instance of him using Tang, and ingesting it, although it was probably a couple of crystals of Tang. In Girls Just Want to Have Fun Part 2, he asks Peg whether or not the Big Frost really did drive up the price of Tang. So again, another reference. In He Thought He Could, he talks about, getting into, still having his watered down Tang and still frozen Pop-Tart, getting into his car, etc., if you all remember that speech. In the computer show, season 3, episode 20, he says to Peg, yuck it up. As soon as Buck learns how to make Tang, you're on the first bus. I thought that was pretty funny. In season 4, episode 7, Desperately Seeking Miss October, Al makes the kids Tang witches, and they just like the way Mom makes it, so she pinches the end so the orange sand doesn't run out. In You Better Shop Around, episode 1, season 5, episode 22, Al's in the pool, and he says to Peg to make a Tang margarita, s'il vous plaît. And she scoops up a glass of water, of pool water, and just gives it to Al. And he says, "Well, you forgot the Tang." In You Better Shop Around Part 2, Peg picks up a can of Tang instead of detergent as she's running around the store. Thanks, Annabelle, for pointing that one out to me. In season 6, The Egg and I, the kids create this concoction that's smoking in order to either poison or kill Al because they don't want to give up Steve. They want to give up Steve Rhodes, to the government so that they get the reward. And they put a glass in front of him, and he says, "Well, Tang don't smoke," and it doesn't smoke. That we know that for sure. In season 8, episode 25, Al Goes Deep. Peg makes these bonbons with Tang. And, Al says, "Well, it's got a lot of Tang." And Peg responds, "Well, it should. I used the whole jar of it." And finally, on Bud in the Side, and that episode will be coming up in probably about 2 years' time, Bud is sleeping with Gary, Al's boss, and Al notices that he's making what he calls Bundy mimosas. So he says that, "Well, this must be a classy chick, son." So today, I'm going to actually make all of these with you so you can see what it's like. I haven't had Tang since the 80s, and I think the first time I bought Tang in the supermarket was because of the references on Married with Children. It was probably I'm going to say season 2. So around 1988. So it's been, almost 32 years. Now, first thing I also want to show you is what a bottle of Tang used to look like. So this is a sample of a bottle of Tang as it looked like in 1979, which is how you saw it on the show. And this design was used during the 1980s. This design is from 2009. So this being 2020, the design is slightly modified, but you sort of get the general idea. Anyway, without further ado, let's start with, let's open up a bottle of Tang and see what it looks like, see what it smells like, and we'll begin making it. So let me open up the label. I'll just use a knife just to try to be neat about it. All right, and here is taking off the wrapper. All right, and let's try to get this open here. Let's see, this seems to be a little tough. Again, I've never really opened one of these up in this format before. So let's see what this is like. Oh, there we go. Doesn't have much of a scent to it. So again, and since it's been 32 years since I've had Tang, so I don't necessarily remember what it's like. Anyway, so we'll start out with something simple, a Bundy margarita. So I don't have pool water, but I did take out some really cool water from the refrigerator. And what it says here is to use approximately 3 tablespoons for 1.5 cups of water. Okay, so I have a measuring spoon, and we'll try to do it in a very scientific manner. Okay, so there's 1, 2, and 3. Okay, I'll put that off to the side. Just mix it up. I mean, for those of you familiar with stuff like Sunny Delight, it's sort of what it looks like. And again, I haven't also had that in probably 30 years. But just give it an idea. So it has a nice color to it. It looks like a fake orange juice, which is, I think, what it was supposed to be. So bottoms up. Not too bad. Definitely like that artificial orange juice types taste to it. Okay. Now let's see what kind of artificial vitamins and minerals are in this thing. I don't even want to attempt to, say what the ingredients are in here because we know that's all artificial. Lots of added sugars, no protein, 140 calories per serving. They say about 15 servings in a container this size. Okay, so let's move on. A Tang witch. So 2 pieces of Wonder Bread. I will go with like two scoops. Try to even it out on the bread so I could just taste it while I do it. Okay. Put the other piece of bread on here. I'm going to pinch the 4 corners a la Peg Bundy. Okay, and let's see. Take a bite. That's not that bad, actually. And I will advise you should probably eat this horizontally so that the sandwich is horizontal so that the sand doesn't run out. But not bad at all. I'll take another bite. Not bad at all. I'm actually pleasantly surprised. So, let's move on. Now, Bud made a Bundy mimosa. So that was beer and Tang. So, I have a pint glass here. I have a bottle of Bud. I mean, as we know, Girly Girl beer is not real, so I'll go with another beer that's been mentioned on Married with Children, which is Budweiser. Okay. And we will add the Tang. And for this, I'll also go with 3 scoops. Ooh, look at that. I guess it didn't, the Tang reacting with the beer is making it foam a little bit more than I expected. Look at that. It's making a little bit of a mess, but I think we can handle that. Okay, let me mix up the Tang. And that's foaming a lot, so I'll just put this off to the side. And I'm going to introduce to you today one of my own creations. I actually posted it on the Facebook page a while back. Now, in Season 8, Episode 21, Nooner or Later, Al stops to get some marital aids, on his way home to have sex with Peg in order to win the radio program prize, So he brought home breath mints for Peg and wild turkey for himself. So a screwdriver, if you go into a bar in the Northeast, is vodka and orange juice. So I will make what I think may be the world's first Bundy screwdriver, which is Wild Turkey and Tang. So here we go. Here's a bottle of Wild Turkey. Oh, and the cork broke. All right, I guess we'll get back to that in a minute. I might need to, there we go. Never mind, just pop the cork in. Take care of that later. I'll just go with a little bit of a glass of Wild Turkey. We'll do maybe half a scoop of Tang. All right, there we go. In the meantime, the beer, again, I'll mix that up. I like to drink my drinks neat. I think maybe some of you might like, maybe Wild Turkey on the rocks or, done another way, but I drink it neat. Okay, so here is our Bundy mimosa. That's not half bad. Okay, I guess they were onto something. Now here is the Bundy screwdriver. That's not bad either. So I guess my conclusion is that Al wasn't that far off when he said that, Tang makes everything better. So we've had a Tang Witch, a Bundy margarita, a Bundy mimosa, and my own creation, the Bundy screwdriver. A Tang wipe would just be, I just want to point this out. A Tang wipe will just be sort of one piece of bread with Tang on it. So it shouldn't taste much different than the Tang Witch. So I'll sort of skip that for this video. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed watching this. I hope you had as much fun watching this as I had making it. And if we have any other ideas like this, I'm happy to give it a try. But thank you. Tell all your friends to subscribe to Patreon on the Facebook page. Whoa, Bundy. And until next time, this is Luigi from the Married with Children podcast research team. Thank you.